Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser. A truly history-making day at the Vatican, where the Catholic Church has elected its new leader. This was the scene just a short time ago when Cardinal Robert Prevost of the United States came to the balcony in St. Peter's Square after being announced as the new Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Cardinal Prevost, who was chosen the name Pope Leo XIV, blessed the crowd after his speech, shortly after the conclave made its final decision.
How we can together be a missionary church, a church that builds bridges, that is always open to receive everyone, just like in this square, to receive everyone, to welcome everyone, our charity, our dialogue and love.
Pope Leo XIV is the first American-born pope to be elected ever. The 69-year-old was born in Chicago before doing his missionary work in Peru. He went on to be elevated to a cardinal by Pope Francis in 2023. Now, it took at least 4 rounds of voting over the course of 2 days to see this: the white smoke billowing out of the chimney on the Sistine Chapel, announcing the selection of the 267th pontiff. Out of the 133 cardinals who participated in the voting, 2/3 of them, plus one, had to agree in order to solidify the decision. As you can see in these images, tens of thousands of people have rushed to St. Peter's Square to witness the spectacle and to celebrate the moment. Now, we have team coverage of the new Pope. CBS News papal contributor Francis Rocca is in Rome, and CBS News papal contributor Candida Moss is with me here in Studio 57. Frank, we're going to go ahead and start with you. First, just your reaction, what you make of the new Pope and the reaction in the crowd.
Well, it's remarkable. I mean, he was on some of the lists. This doesn't come entirely out of the blue. But late in the game, everybody assumed that if we had a result this quickly, it would be Cardinal Parolin, because he was the front runner without a question. And we thought if somebody else is going to emerge, it's going to take longer. But that turned out not to be true. And you know, as journalists, I think we were hoping for an exciting story and, you know, an Asian Pope, an African Pope. But this is no less exciting.
How would you describe him ideologically in terms of many of the issues that will be facing the church and that he will have to contend with as Pope?
Well, it's an interesting question. He served for a little bit more than 2 years at the end of Francis's pontificate. He ran the office for the selection of bishops. So he was in charge of advising the Pope on what bishops to appoint. He kept a low profile on the most contentious, neuralgic, sensitive, controversial issues. But when he was in the previous pontificate under Pope Benedict XVI, and he was the head of the Augustinian order, a religious order, he spoke in a more familiar way of that period about culture war issues, you know, about homosexuality or about abortion or about the secular media and that sort of thing. So it's interesting. It will be interesting to see if that voice reemerges now. That was sort of taboo. It was out of fashion under Francis. We'll see what happens under Leo.
Yesterday, you were telling me the longer this goes on, the more interesting and unpredictable the process becomes. Do you think that this decision was made so quickly by design for the cardinals to show a sense of unity?
Well, I think has been that pressure in recent decades, not just in recent years, but in recent decades, the feeling that a long conclave will be a problem. And I think that there is a lot of division in the church. Everybody knows that. Polarization grew. To some extent, Francis revealed what was already there. To some extent, he exacerbated it for better or worse. And I think there was a great desire for unity, and they unified behind him. I think he probably was able to swing evidently a fair number of moderates, at least, maybe also conservatives behind him.
What's next for Leo XIV?
Well, it's a good question. One thing is interesting. A lot of us were waiting to see when he came out onto the loggia, whoever he was. We still didn't know whether he'd be wearing the red cape, the mozzetta, traditional vestment that was worn for this occasion that Francis eschewed. Francis said, "I don't want to wear that," and that was the first sign that Francis is going to be very different. Well, first sign after his name, so Leo has chosen to go back to tradition in that detail. We'll see if that continues. We'll see to what extent does he follow the model of Francis? Does he live in the apostolic palace that Francis didn't want to live in? Does he ride in small cars? Does he give the blessing to the journalists when he meets the journalists later, as he probably will in a few days? Or Francis didn't bless the journalists because he said some of you are not Catholic. So all these little deviations from tradition that Francis did, will Leo go back to them? That will be an interesting sign.
Okay, thank you so much, Frank Rocca. We appreciate you. I want to turn now to CBS News papal contributor Candida Moss. She's also an Edward Cadbury Professor of Theology at the University of Birmingham in the UK. What more can you tell us about Pope Leo? He was known to the cardinals, right?
That's right, because he has held this administrative position in Rome for a number of years, and that meant he was very well known to cardinals. Having traveled the world as head of the Order of Augustins, he had also traveled, and he had spent a lot of his life in Peru, so he's well known to South American cardinals. In fact, when he came out onto the balcony, he greeted the Peruvian people. He spoke in Italian as the new Bishop of Rome, and then in Spanish as hearkening back to that identity. We had this global college of cardinals put together by Pope Francis, and they elected a global pope, someone who understands the global north, being an American, and someone who understands the global south as well. He's also someone who has taken a vow of poverty, who we should expect to follow Pope Francis's footsteps in missionary activity, reaching out to the margins of the church, and embracing humility moving forward.
What should we take away from his chosen papal name?
It's a really interesting name. Pope Leo the Great was known for two things: as a great intellectual and theological reformer, and our new pope has a doctorate in canon law. And so we might expect that he, too, is going to clarify the church's teachings on central issues, as Leo the Great did. But Leo the Great was also known for meeting with Attila the Hun and dissuading him from attacking Rome. So we might also see this new pope as someone who knows that he has to stand up to the sort of strong men in the political arena right now.
What should we take away from his role as head of the Order of Augustine?
Well, the Order of Augustine, they have a vow of poverty. They see themselves as living a life of service and great humility and universality, as St. Augustine wrote about. And he even quoted St. Augustine in his opening address. So we should see him as very much in the mold of Pope Francis, as embracing the whole world and taking us forward in this kind of role of a man of the people who walks the walk, who isn't into the trappings, Mazetta aside, and wants to see a Christian clergy that embraces its roots in poverty and service.
Candida Moss, thank you so much.